Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
Awesome. Today we're going to be tackling something super interesting, I think, the psychology of money.
Ooh, yeah.
It's not just about budgets and investing. It's about the why behind our money choices. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
We're using Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money, as our guide for this deep dive.
It's a really good one.
Oh, it's fantastic. It really digs into all those often irrational ways we think about money.
Yeah. And Housel starts off with a story that really grabbed my attention.
Okay, tell me about it.
So it's about this guy, Ronald Reed. He was a janitor.
Okay.
And get this, he quietly amassed millions of dollars.
Wait, what? Millions of dollars? How's
No.
that even possible?
Right. It sounds like something out of a movie,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's a true story.
Hmm.
Reed, he fixed cars, swept floors, lived a really modest life.
So no private jets or anything?
Nope, not even close.
Yeah.
But when he passed away at 92, he left behind an $8 million fortune.
8 million. I mean, that's incredible. Did he inherit it, win the lottery?
No inheritance, no lottery win. It was all from investing.
Okay, so he must have been like a secret Wall Street whiz or something.
Not at all. He just patiently invested in blue chip stocks for decades.
Wow. You know, that really challenges the whole get-rich-quick mentality that we see everywhere these days.
Yeah, you got it. Reed's story shows us that slow and steady can actually win the race when it comes to building wealth.
It's like that saying, the greatest fortunes are made sitting, not running.
Exactly. Maybe we're all too focused on trying to find shortcuts instead of just, being patient and disciplined.
It's so true. We want instant gratification. We want to see results now.
But real wealth, lasting wealth, usually takes time. And a lot of it comes down to mindset.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not just about the numbers. It's about our relationship with money, right?
Absolutely. Housel argues that everyone views money through the lens of their own experiences.
Okay, I can see that. Our backgrounds and, what we've been through can really shape our financial decisions.
Yeah. He says those experiences, even if they're just a tiny snapshot of financial history, shape like 80% of how we think money works.
Wow, 80%. That's a huge influence. So even if someone's money choices seem totally bizarre to us, they probably make perfect sense to them based on their own experiences.
Right. It's about understanding where they're coming from.
Makes you think twice about judging people for how they handle their money, huh?
For sure. I mean, think about lottery tickets. Housel points out that people with lower incomes tend to spend more on them.
I can see that.
Now, logically, the odds of winning are slim.
Yeah, but for someone struggling to make ends meet.
That small chance of winning big could mean escaping a tough financial situation. It's not just about logic. It's about hope.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder that we all have different financial realities and different motivations.
Right. And here's another layer to consider. A lot of what we consider normal financial practices today are actually pretty new.
Really? Like what?
Like retirement savings, index funds, even the whole idea of paying for college with student loans. It's all relatively recent. We don't have generations of wisdom to fall back on.
So we're kind of making it up as we go along.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that can lead to, some pretty questionable decisions, especially when you're dealing with long-term commitments. Look at the student loan debt crisis. College tuition has exploded, and maybe we weren't really prepared for that.
I feel like a lot of people are just winging it when it comes to their finances.
Definitely. But recognizing that we're in uncharted territory can encourage us to be, more thoughtful and less impulsive.
Especially when it comes to those big life-altering decisions.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about how our past experiences and this new financial landscape can influence our choices. But what about things like luck and opportunity?
Oh, that's a big one. Housel uses Bill Gates as an example.
Okay, I'm listening.
Obviously, Gates is brilliant and driven, but he also had access to a time-sharing computer in middle school, which was, unheard of back then.
Yeah, that's a pretty huge advantage.
Right. That head start fueled his passion for programming and gave him a massive leg up.
So it's not just about being smart and working hard. It's also about being in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many talented people are out there who never get that lucky break.
Yeah, that's a bit humbling.
It is, but also reminds us to make the most of the opportunities that do come our way.
Instead of dwelling on what we don't have, we should be ready to seize those moments when preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got talent, we've got hard work, we've got luck. What about risk? Where does that fit into the equation?
Ooh, risk is a big one. We love to think that success is all about skill, but Housel throws a bit of a wrench in that narrative.
Okay, how so?
Well, he talks about Jesse Livermore. This guy made a fortune betting against the market in 1929.
Oh, wow, during the crash.
Yep. But later on, he lost it all because of risky bets. Even Benjamin Graham, who's considered the father of value investing.
I've heard of him, yeah.
A big chunk of his success came from a single, concentrated investment in Geico.
So it's not always about being the smartest person in the room. Sometimes it's about taking a calculated risk and, maybe getting a little lucky.
Right. Acknowledging that can make us more humble about our wins and more understanding of our losses. It's like accepting that we can't control everything, but we can control how we react to the unexpected.
That's a good point. And it makes me think about something Housel said about staying wealthy. He says getting rich might be about taking big risks, but holding on to wealth requires a totally different mindset.
He's got that right. It's about frugality, planning, and avoiding those big losses that can wipe you out.
He uses those contrasting stories of Jesse Livermore and Abraham Jermansky. They both made fortunes, but ultimately lost it all.
It's like they knew how to climb the mountain, but not how to stay at the summit.
So it's not just about reaching a certain level of wealth, it's about building a fortress around it, right?
Exactly. Think of it like shifting from offense to defense. You want to protect what you've built.
So minimizing losses becomes just as important as maximizing gains.
More important even. One bad decision can wipe out years of progress.
It's like building a house of cards. One wrong move and it all comes crashing down.
That's a great analogy. And it really highlights the need for a mindset shift from focusing solely on gains to understanding the importance of minimizing risks.
That's a really powerful idea. We tend to think of wealth building as this aggressive pursuit, but maybe it's more about playing defense and making sure we don't lose what we've already gained.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between taking calculated risks and protecting what you've worked hard to build.
All right, so last time we were talking about all sorts of things from the psychology of money, like how our past shapes our view of money and all that.
And the importance of patience, right?
Right. And all that stuff about skill, risk, and luck.
It's all connected. It really is, yeah. Ready to keep going with this deep dive?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So what else has Housel got for us?
Well, he talks about something we often underestimate,
What's that?
saving. Saving.
Okay.
He compares saving to increasing energy efficiency.
What do you mean?
Instead of, always hunting for more fuel, you're making the most of what you already have.
So instead of always like chasing a bigger paycheck.
You're trying to stretch what you've already got. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean, yeah. It's like finding those energy leaks in your house, right?
Exactly. Sometimes you can save a ton just by optimizing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like getting more breathing room in your budget without actually having to earn more.
Right. You're not stuck on that treadmill.
Makes you feel more in control, too.
That's a big part of it. Housel uses a good example. The 1970s oil crisis. Remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
Well, the solution back then wasn't about finding more oil.
It was about using it more wisely.
Mm.
Exactly.
Mm.
Maybe the answer to our money anxieties isn't always about making more.
Maybe it's about managing what we do have better.
Right. It's definitely more sustainable. Always chasing that bigger paycheck, it's exhausting.
It's like you're never satisfied.
Yeah. Learning to be content with less, being mindful about your spending, it can create a different kind of freedom.
Yeah, it's like choosing to live a life that's rich in experiences, not just in stuff, right?
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like what Housel says about wealth being what you don't see.
We think of wealth as fancy cars and big houses, but
True wealth is about having options, right? Having that financial stability. It's not always flashy.
it's like the difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy.
Exactly.
Mm.
And these days, with social media and all that, it's easy to get caught up in the comparison game.
Everyone's trying to keep up with the Joneses.
But the Joneses might be drowning in debt. True wealth is about having the freedom to make choices that align with what you value.
Not about impressing other people. It's about having that solid foundation, even if it's not always visible. It's like building a life with real meaning, not just a facade.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And that leads to another thing Housel talks about. Striving for perfect rationality with your money, it can actually backfire.
Wait, you're saying being rational with money is a bad thing?
No, not exactly. It's more like recognizing that we're human,
We have emotions.
Yeah. We've got biases, past experiences, all those things that can affect our decisions, even when we think we're being logical.
So sometimes our heart wins over our head. even when it comes to money.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Housel says aiming for pretty reasonable decisions instead of obsessing over perfect rationality can be more effective.
So trusting your gut is okay sometimes.
Yeah, within reason. He uses this great example, Harry Markowitz.
Who's that?
He's a Nobel Prize-winning economist, developed all these complex models for investing.
Sounds pretty smart.
He was. But even he admitted he didn't use those models for his own money. He kept things simple.
So, if a Nobel Prize winner doesn't obsess over being perfectly rational,
Maybe the rest of us don't have to either.
makes sense to me. It's about finding that sweet spot between being smart and being practical.
Right. Sometimes the best decision is the one that just feels right, even if it's not perfectly optimized on paper.
It's got to work for you financially and emotionally.
Exactly. It's about sustainability, not just, winning every single trade. And that ties in with another concept, room for error,
Okay.
building in a buffer for the unexpected. Housel says this is key because, well, life rarely goes according to plan.
You're telling me. Man plans, God laughs, right?
That's it. We can make all the spreadsheets we want, but there's always going to be some uncertainty.
Yeah, we can't predict everything.
We definitely try, though, right? We tend to overestimate our ability to see the future. Housel calls it the end of history illusion.
Meaning.
We think we've got it all figured out, but we underestimate how much will change. Our goals, our desires, even our personalities. We forget we're always evolving.
Yeah, it's like buying clothes for future you that you don't even know yet.
Perfect analogy. What you love today might not fit you a few years down the line.
So how do we plan for a future self that, we haven't even met yet?
Housel says build flexibility into your plans. Acknowledge that you're going to change and create a system that allows you to adapt.
Instead of clinging to a rigid plan, embrace the journey, right?
Yeah. Life and our finances, they're full of surprises.
We've got to be ready to pivot.
You got it. Having that room for error, it gives you the freedom to change course without feeling like you're failing.
So it's like a financial roadmap that allows for detours.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of, stories and narratives,
Okay, yeah, we touched on this last time, how narratives affect our relationship with money.
they're super powerful. They shape how we see things, how we feel about things, and ultimately the decisions we make. Remember the 2008 crisis?
Oh, yeah.
That whole narrative of doom and gloom, it took hold, even though things weren't as bad as they seemed.
Fear can be contagious, I guess.
Definitely. And narratives tap into that. They give us a framework for understanding, And when it comes to money, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about security, risk, our hopes for the future.
We all want that story that explains how it all works.
And those stories shape how we behave,
Mm.
That's why it's key to be aware of the narratives that are influencing us. Are we being too optimistic, too pessimistic? Is fear or greed driving our choices?
We've got to take a step back and really examine the stories we're telling ourselves about money, right?
Absolutely. Developing a critical eye, it can help us make better decisions. Separating facts from emotions, getting more balanced perspective.
It's like becoming the author of your own financial story.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's about taking ownership, making choices that actually reflect your values, your goals, your risk tolerance.
And we're back, wrapping up our deep dive into the psychology of money. We've covered so much ground already.
It's been quite the journey.
It really has, yeah. We talked about how our past experiences and even the stories we tell ourselves, they really shape our view of money.
And we've talked about all those key ideas like compounding,
Yeah, and those pretty reasonable choices.
And that buffer for unexpected things.
Room for error, right?
Exactly. Now let's see how we can actually apply all this to create a better financial future.
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
All right. Housel still talks about this concept he calls paying the price.
Okay, paying the price. I like it already.
He says, nothing worthwhile comes free, especially when you're trying to build wealth.
No pain, no gain, huh?
That's the idea. We want the rewards, but sometimes we forget about the cost, the sacrifices, the risks.
It's like wanting to win a marathon without, all the training.
You got it. You can dream about the finish line, but without the hard work.
It's just a fantasy, yeah.
Housel uses Disneyland as an example.
Disneyland, okay.
Millions of people pay, like a ton of money, just to get into
They
Disneyland.
do, yeah.
But they're happy to do it
Why?
because they understand that the experience, the magic, it comes at a price.
You're paying for the fun, the memories.
Exactly. And you're okay with that price because you know it's going to be worth it. Same thing with investing,
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
Those market returns, they don't just magically appear.
You got to work for it.
There's volatility, there's uncertainty. Sometimes you even lose money along the way.
So accepting risk is part of the deal.
If you try to avoid risk altogether, you'll probably miss out on the big rewards. Housel says volatility is often a fee, not a fine.
What does that mean?
It's the price you pay for the possibility of those higher returns. Trying to avoid every bump in the
You're
roads.
going to miss out.
Exactly. You can't enjoy a roller coaster if you're keeping your feet on the ground the whole time.
Haha, that's a good one. So embrace the ups and downs. That's part of the ride.
The ups and downs are what make it exciting.
And it's not just about risk tolerance,
Hmm.
right? We also have to acknowledge the role of luck. Sometimes we get so focused on, skill and hard work.
We forget about the lucky breaks.
Yeah, being in the right place at the right time can make all the difference.
Sometimes it's about catching that wave,
Yeah.
and that's one of the hardest things to accept because we love to compare ourselves to others.
We see their success and we think, oh, they must be so talented or they must work so hard.
But we forget about the role of chance, the things that are outside of their control.
Like Housel's example with Jesse Livermore.
Making a killing during the crash, yeah.
He was skilled, sure, but he also happened to be on the right side of a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Exactly. Nobody could have predicted that.
So it's not just about being brilliant or working hard.
It's also about those lucky breaks.
Yeah.
Recognizing that makes us a little more humble, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. We don't always have all the answers, and sometimes the best we can do is make good decisions and be ready for whatever comes next.
Right. And speaking of the unexpected, Housel reminds us that we change, our goals, our desires,
Even our personalities.
all of it. We change over time. And if we lock ourselves into those rigid plans,
Without considering that evolution, yeah.
we might end up with regrets down the line.
Yeah, it's like choosing a career at 18 and thinking, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Our interests change, our priorities change, and our relationship with money changes too.
So how do we plan for a future self that we don't even know yet?
Housel says build in flexibility, acknowledge that you're going to change, and create a plan that can adapt with you.
So don't cling to that rigid plan. Embrace the journey.
Yeah. Our financial lives, just like life in general,
It's all going to be full of surprises.
you're going to have to pivot, make adjustments along the way.
It's like having a financial roadmap, but one that allows for detours.
That's it. Be open to new possibilities.
And this all comes back to one of the biggest takeaways from the psychology of money.
What's that?
Your financial choices, they should reflect your values.
That's the heart of it. Money is a tool. And how we use that tool.
It should reflect what really matters to us.
Exactly. Whether it's spending time with family, pursuing your passions, giving back to your community, your finances should support the life you want to live.
Yeah, money isn't the end goal. It's how we get to that goal.
It's about creating a life that's rich in experiences, relationships, meaning. That's why understanding the psychology of money is so powerful.
It's eye-opening for sure. I feel like I have a whole new perspective now.
Me too. It's been great exploring all this with you.
Yeah, this deep dive has been amazing.
Remember, the journey to financial well-being, it never really ends. The more we learn about ourselves and our relationship with money,
The better equipped we are to handle all the complexities.
and create a life that's truly fulfilling.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the psychology of money.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope this has given you some food for thought, encouraged you to approach your finances with, more awareness, more confidence.
And a deeper understanding of how your mind and your money are connected.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep building that financial future that reflects your values, your goals.
And remember, the best investment you can make is in understanding yourself.
That's where it all begins. Thanks for listening.